Welcome, everyone. I'm so excited you're here with us today. And today is all about the reasons why you are not living with the money you want, the love you want, the job you want, the body you want, all these things that you want. We are going to talk about the reason why you are not living the life you truly want. There is only one art and science to achieving anything it is that we want in life. We have been made to believe that there are multiple ways of getting to our goals. And what we don't realize, there's only one art and science to achieving anything you desire in life. And we're about to share with you today exactly what those are. What is stopping you from living the life you want? And today it's all about that. And one thing I want to share with you before we get started that is so, so important that I wish I would have known such a long time ago is that in order to get to a place that we've never been before, in order to go from here to here, it requires us to connect to information, things, ideas that we have never heard before, experienced before, seen before. Because if we knew how to get here, if we had the information already to get here, then we would already be living that life. But because we're not living that life, we have to realize that we don't have the information. We don't have the knowing yet. And so just keep an open mind about what we're sharing today because it's powerful information. It's transformed the lives of millions of people. So if anybody can share what questions you have, share what this is about you. This is not about us. And so we really want you to let us know where you are right now. Maybe you've pondered last night about things that we spoke about and you're like, I don't know if that really makes sense. Remember, like I mentioned at the beginning of this, you have a desire to stay the same while simultaneously have a desire for more, and it's happening at the same time. And just so you know, that desire to stay the same is basically your autopilot. It is controlling 95% of you. So when you decide to go after something you've never done before, now you know why. There's this huge force holding you to stay the same. And so naturally there is going to be a lot inside of you every time the moment that you entertain something more, the moment you entertain something you've never done before, there are going to be voices. Oh, you can't do that. You're not smart enough to do that. That's not possible for us. We're not, money doesn't grow on trees. This doesn't happen that easy. Think about it. There's so many of those voices that are going to appear in your mind. And let's talk about that, because the only reason why, for example, the gym is packed in January and then empty in February, it's that represents every desire, not just that desire, every single desire. It is like that. We have the intention of becoming more, and then that force that forces us to stay the same is so powerful. That resistance is beyond powerful, that it convinces us, oh, you're better just staying where you are. And so all of you, compared to what you can achieve in your life, compared to what is inside of you, you have no idea that that is the thing robbing you. And remember, your mind controls your mind, controls you. So this is why the best thing I've ever done was figuring out what my blocks are, figuring out my blind spots, figuring out, because that is what your blocks and blind spots are. That's exactly what it is. It is the resistance that's holding you back from living the life you want. And then you keep living the longing and discontent. So do you want to know what that resistance is? Let's talk about that resistance today. Let's talk about the thing that's constantly stopping you and robbing you from living the life you want. Because I am so tired, Susan, right? To see people with all these gifts. We could see it in them. But then we also see that desire inside of them that wants to stay the same.
Yeah, and Very well said, because it's true. That is the definition of friction or stuckness, and the inability. One of the major issues we have as human beings, particularly in women, is decision making. Decision making is probably one of the most difficult things. And the only thing you need in decision making is clarity. But what is clarity? It's knowing that one thing that's holding you back rather than 10 other layers of stories that you've created on why. Right. So we have a question here from Kersha. Thank you, Kersha, for bringing this up. And this always ties back to the same thing, that everybody can think of what they want. Because one of the things I've noticed within a lot of groups is that people don't even know what questions they need to ask. You know what I mean? There are so many issues right now that they're trying to figure out what question to ask. So one of the easiest questions that people ask is, how do I get more money? How do I make more money? It's always money blocks. It's always money blocks, right? But is that inability to see where the money is coming from really about a money block? It's not always about a money block. Just because you don't see money coming doesn't mean it's a money block. It could also mean a big part of it is money is tied to people, tied to opportunities. So if you are not building relationships out there and you don't enjoy people, then money is not coming in, because money is of a love vibration. It's of abundance, and abundance comes from an open heart to receive. So if you have a block to people, well, money is not going to float out of the sky and come down like that leaf of, that movie, Forrest Gump, right? That's not money. Money is tied to coming through opportunities. And opportunities is through relationships of how you're going to build something together. Why don't you talk more about that? Because for me, that's what money has always been for me. How money came in is through how I collaborate, or how somebody else sees me and my potential and wants to work with me, wants to hire me, wants to build something with me. That's how it's worked for me. I'm not sure how it's going to work for you guys. Oh, you're muted.
Sorry, guys. That's amazing, and that's so true, Susan. And this is something that I didn't really think about up until I got on this journey of starting to understand. But you're so right. It is about relationships. I mean, and listen, when you whether it's a relationship looking for a business opportunity, or whether it's the relationship you have with your coworkers, the energy and the belief in yourself that you bring is going to show up in your paycheck. And so as I was listening to you, I remember back to something that Bob Proctor had said when he first met his mentor when he was 26 years old. And Ray told Bob that if he would do exactly what he said, that he could have the life that he wanted. And Bob said, I didn't believe that was true. He goes, I didn't believe that. And so we may have people on right now that don't believe that this can happen for you. And this is what Bob said. He goes, I didn't believe it. But he said, I believed that Ray did. He said, I believed that Ray knew what he was talking about. And he said, and I was hungry for the life that Ray was describing. And he said, because of his belief, I wanted to stay in that. He didn't use the word at the time. I'm sure he probably didn't know what vibration and frequency was when he was 26, but he said, I wanted to be around that. And so I'm just encouraging you guys, if you don't have that belief yet, what do you think is going to help you get what you want? Hanging out with the same crowd that you're hanging out with, or surrounding yourself with people that believe this, that understand this, that can help keep you in that frequency and in that vibration, and are going to constantly encourage you and inspire you. Listen, the reason I know is because I've done this before. I said, oh man, this is a bunch of crap. These people are just trying to get my money. And you know what? I lived that way, and I created situations where that continued to happen. But when I finally was able to understand how this works, and I started to push the ego aside and say, okay, I'm willing to grow. I'm willing to learn. I'm willing to accept that there may be things that I haven't understood up to this point. I want a better life. I want this to be true. I mean, I promise you, you're here because you want this to be true. You want this to work for you. So you've got to believe that it's possible. And if you don't have that belief yet, lean on ours, because we do. We have seen it time and time and time again. Things come out of nowhere at the last second when you think, how in the world is this going to happen? But I believe it. I've seen it. I know it's coming. And in this trip out here has just been another confirmation of how powerful the mindset is in picturing and staying in the right vibration, the right frequency, and not being afraid to speak, the desires that you have for where you want to go and what you want to do. Because I promise you, what you're seeking is seeking you. So I'm gonna stop there and turn it back over to Natalie.
Yeah. So what I want to bring attention, because I'm seeing Kershaw and I'm seeing Karen's comment as well. And what comes to my mind is that when I was talking about the desire, motivation, procrastination, name it, right? We keep blaming. Here's the reality. There's a lot of education and knowledge out there. You are all top heavy. And what I mean by top heavy, consciously, you have tons of knowledge. You already know what to do to have a fit body. You already know what to do to attract the people you want. You already know. I get a lot of people saying, I already know this stuff. The truth is, knowing the information is not really knowing. So when you go to class and you go to school and you pass the test, we were taught to believe that that is knowing, and that's not the truth. Here, I'm going to mute you here because there's something. So that's not the truth. Knowing means embodying. Knowing means understanding thyself. Knowing is, so let's talk about desire, motivation, procrastination. So the truth is, you need a burning desire to change your life. You cannot change your life if you don't have something that pulls you out of where you are now, that pulls you towards more, that pulls you, like Karen said, comfortable with the uncomfortable. You need something that is a burning desire to pull you out. But how do you get that burning desire? Because this is such an important piece. What I'm about to talk to you changes everything. It's a piece that is so misunderstood. It is a piece that everybody out there keeps saying, oh, I know this stuff. And I'm like, no, you don't know this stuff. There's the block. Because if you think you know the stuff, then your life never changes. So just here, bear with me, because that's why the gyms are packed in January, and come February, it dies down. That's why people keep struggling with relationships and money. Most people have desires, but they don't understand how desires work. See, everyone has the desire to stay the same, just like they have the desire to become more. Both are happening inside of them simultaneously. And that causes the conflict inside of you. And you know that. But you need willpower, right? And how many of you have started a routine or a gym routine and you don't have enough willpower? First of all, you all have tremendous willpower. But the thing about willpower is that it follows desire. So this week, your desire is to lose weight, grow your business, or find the love of your life. So your willpower is going to be very strong towards what your desire is this week. But next week, your desire is to fix office issues. So now your willpower follows that. So basically, your desire to keep everything the same kicks in. And if you don't understand that this is happening on a deep level within you, you will miss it completely. Because so that part of you that desires to stay the same controls 95% of your behaviors and actions. You all can feel that resistance. When it's time to go after what you want, you all can feel that resistance inside of you. That 95% that wants to stay the same has control over you. It is so powerful. And and here's the reality, you're not staying the same because nothing on this planet stays the same. You are either growing or going backwards. A tree that stops growing is dying. So if you really have a desire to earn more money, find love, rekindle your love, do something you love for work, have a fit body, bring your business to the next level. If you really have that desire, you need to be aware of that. To get these things, you are required to understand that force inside of you, your blind spots, that resistance is going to win. And the only way it cannot win, the only way you can push through it is if you can see it. And most people can't see it. That's why they procrastinate procrastination and motivation and money and all these different things. That's why they struggle to make things happen in their life. They can't see it, so nothing can change. But once you see these blocks, see your paradigm, see that part of you that is your ego self that has created to keep you safe, keep you comfortable. Well, comfortably uncomfortable, right? Like Karen said. But until you see it, it will keep you back. And that's why my life is so different today. So different today. Because the desire, because I was able to see that 95% of me that was holding me back, because I could see it, I could push through it.
And that's the interesting thing, because one of the greatest motivators is survival. So we have to also look at the direct answer to get these people to that point where you take action, right? Because there's a lot of people stuck in that theory of their head. So what is going to take that next step, right? And it depends on so many things. Are you in survival mode? Do you not even have money for food? Do you have children and you can't even buy them clothes? Like, at what stage? Because that, depending on where you're at, the strategy on how to get you motivated is very different. Somebody that does have savings, but is still in a fearful mode, that's a totally different thing. So it depends on a lot of things. But if you are comfortable being uncomfortable, right? And you know that you're comfortable being in a self-sabotage mode, the only reason why that is because you don't have a clear picture in your mind what the other side looks like. And I've dealt with this a lot with love. A lot of people stay in dysfunctional relationships where the guys don't want them, like as women, right? The guys don't want them and treating them badly. And still, they would rather stay in that situation than to be free and have the choice to choose somebody that will love them. And you know why that is? It's because they don't believe there's anybody out there that will love them. It's not a matter of liking what they're in, but the pain of not having somebody is greater than having somebody abuse them. So that's very common. You're not the only one out there. But what we have to do is keep focusing on this pain is not going away. So you're trading off a pain that's not going away versus only getting worse versus the freedom to explore. And I'd rather be uncomfortable and have freedom to see other things to stay in the one thing is a definite failure. So you're choosing definite failure to potential something. It's as easy as that. So if you keep reflecting on the trade-off and measuring the trade-off, you'll see how quickly you're going to find ways of getting yourself out of that comfortable discomfort of knowing is not going anywhere. And that could be your life. It could be with somebody. Doesn't matter.
And that's why we help people make desire for what their heart wants, not what we think or what society thinks you want. No. What you want. Because remember, the desire to stay the same and the desire for what your heart really, really wants, all right, are working simultaneously. The problem is that the desire to stay the same has more power because it's a human thing to hold you safe and captured in your comfort zone. So when you understand the power of that, when you understand this, you get to see it. And when you see it, you can blow through that resistance. But the way to make it work really is, if you think about it right down, like Susan's saying, most of you have placed more power in the desire to stay the same. And by what I mean by that is that listen to your stories. You don't understand, Natalie. Like, the money is not coming in. I have no money. You're right. That's what's at the forefront of your mind. You believe there is no money. So why would the mind start seeking ways of bringing the ideas to you to attract the money you need? It's impossible, because your story is to hold you where you are, right? Which is, look, there's the results. This is what I'm living. This is what's happening. And the more we put power into where we are right now, and speaking from the place of where we are stays the same. So what we want to do is speak more power into what it is your heart desires. People don't talk about visions. They don't talk about goals. They don't talk about who they want to become. They don't talk about what they're, yes, these are the things I'm struggling with, but I up until now, not anymore. This is what I'm working on, and this is what is going to happen. And this is, do you see what I mean? We don't do that. We're like, oh my God, I'm so I'm so annoyed that I'm attracting the same men. Oh my God, I'm so annoyed that there's no money in my bank account. This happens to me all the time.
Well,
See,
the universe doesn't
programming. Yeah, you're programming yourself.
The universe does not reward ourselves for not taking a risk and taking chances on ourselves to be better. So if we choose to not do anything, we're giving signals to the universe to show us nothing. Because by not taking action, we're telling the universe that I'm good. So you don't need anything. So it's really important that you learn how to let go. Personal development, personal growth is just mastery of letting go. It's not about the growth. It's not about where you're going. It's about knowing where everybody here knows where they want, what the ideal life is. I mean, everybody knows, even if you don't know how to articulate it. The only reason why you don't see it anymore is because you're too focused on how, and then you just kill the dream, right? But once you know how to let go.
I need to interject something real quick, because this is something that used to frustrate me. I'm going to use an example of, say trigonometry in high school. I didn't understand how to do the problem. I'm sitting there, I'm listening to the teacher explain it, and I'm not getting it. And I'm getting frustrated. I don't understand how to do this. I don't understand what you're saying. Then the teacher continues. I still don't understand. And then I get frustrated. So what happens? You want to quit? Yeah, you want to quit. I wanted to quit. I wanted to quit that class. I didn't understand it. I didn't get it. And I'm not the kind of person that doesn't like to get stuff and doesn't understand stuff. I don't want to make failing grades. I don't want to be the dummy. This was me. Okay. I didn't understand. But what happened is because, well, first of all, I had to take that class. All right. And y'all bear with me on this. I had to take it. So I said, okay, I need to learn how. I need to understand how this works. I need to understand this. And as I stayed the course, and as I continued to listen, and as I continued to watch, it finally started to slowly start to come into focus and make sense. And then it got to where I understood how to do the problem, and I accomplished the problem, and I felt so great. Okay, so listen, you guys have got to understand this when it comes to mindset. There is a lot that you don't understand right now, and that's okay. It's no different than me in that class or in any class that you take. But the question you have to ask yourself is, how bad do you want the results that understanding can give you? How bad do you want those results? You have to have a burning desire for something, or you're going to meet these resistances, and you're going to just want to go right back to the couch and watch the TV and say, I'll think about it tomorrow. How many times throughout your life have you done that? I know how many times I've done it. But when you finally say, you know what, I'm going to get this. And that's the point I got to in 2018. I said, I am tired of not understanding. I want better results in my life. And that desire got so strong that I was willing to do whatever it took, as uncomfortable as it was, to get that understanding. And there's still things that I want, that I'm still growing in my level of awareness and understanding towards. This is a journey that I'll never stop. So if you're out there and you're hearing some of these things that Natalie is sharing, you're hearing some of the things that Susan are sharing, you're hearing some of the things that I'm sharing, you have to be honest with yourself and say, am I in that boat? Am I not really understanding this? And I'm frustrated because I want these results that they're talking about, but I don't understand what they're saying. I don't understand how this works. This is where you have to make the decision that you are going to surround yourself with people that can help you get that awareness and understanding. You can go right back to the comfort zone. That's how we've been programmed our whole life. If things start to get uncomfortable, we want to go get to where it's comfortable. If we don't understand something, we want to go get to something we do understand, like watching Friends or Melrose Place. I'm dating myself. Not that I did those things. Or go sit down and watch TV, watch a movie, get a drink, go get a tub of ice cream, go play golf, go fishing, anything to take you away from what you really want. And what you really want, listen, I know what you want. You want to live the life that Natalie and Susan and I are describing. You want to go live that life. You want to have the money. You want to have the freedom. You want to have the peace and the joy in your heart. But you're so focused on the negative results that's been created up to this point that you just want to just say, screw it. I'm just going to go sit down and this is just my lot in life. Please don't do that. Please do not do that. Get the understanding. If you don't know what we're talking about now, reach out, set a meeting up with Natalie or Susan and schedule some time to dig into what it is that you truly want. But don't just think it's going to get better on its own, because it's not. I did that for almost 52 years. I thought I was learning mindset. I'd go get a book. I'd go to a conference and I'm all excited. And then 2 days later, I'm right back to the place that I was before I started, and frustrated and mad at myself. Why did you spend that money to go do that or go get that book or do that? And nothing's changed for me. I guess it just doesn't work for me. This sucks. I'm so tired of this. And then what do? I'm just going to go fishing. I'm just going to go hunting. I'm just going to go do something to take me away from that. But what is it that you want? Because if you keep avoiding it, it's going to keep rearing its ugly head every 3, 6 months, year, 2 years. You may say, it's just not going to happen for me. And then 2 years, it gets so bad. You say, I should have just stayed that course 2 years ago, but now I'm going to start. And you get on this journey again, and then it gets frustrating and hard again. And you don't stick with it. And you listen, don't let that happen. Don't let another day go by that you don't make the commitment to yourself and your future. Because understanding the mind and how the mind works is going to change everything for you. It's going to attract the love of your life. It's going to attract the business partners. It's going to attract new ideas. It's going to help you see the value of living in a healthy body and understanding that food is not entertainment. Food is fuel for our body. There's so much here that when you get that understanding and awareness, you can create the very life that you want, and you can have the results that you're looking for. Natalie?
And the thing I really want to, there's only one art and science to achieving what you want. I'm going to repeat that because it looks like there's thousands of different strategies to get to where you want. I need you to understand there's only one art and science to get to where you want to go. And that's why I started this with desire. There's a desire to stay the same, and there's a desire for more. So what you want to work on, the only way Steve Jobs became Steve Jobs, Oprah became Oprah, why all the best of the best out there became who they became, is because the desire to become more became so burning inside of them, more than the desire to stay the same. So the strategy that I have with every single client, and we will say that there is not one client that is not seeing the results, is that when your burning desire is burning to become more, is much bigger than the desire to stay the same, I want you to ask yourself that question. What could you do in your life if the desire for what you want more was burning inside of you, that it was pulling you in every day? So procrastination is not even something that's on your mind. That motivation is not even something that's on your mind. It is fueling you. It is pulling you in. Can you see why we use that as the strategy to get you to where you want to go? Do you see how powerful that is? Because you know why? I went months depressed in my bedroom, not even wanting to get out. I have lived depression. I have lived moments where I procrastinated and I robbed myself over and over. I had dreams. I had a pull inside of me that wanted more. And I tell you, the paradigm that I grew up with, I grew up in a society, a family, and I love them to death because they taught me so much, and I wouldn't be who I am today if it wasn't for it. But I'll tell you, they did build paradigms inside of me that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, what's the point? I'm never going to get there. All these bad, horrible paradigms within me that was forcing me to have that desire to stay the same, stronger than the desire to become more. And so you can see my heart's purpose, my mission is to help every one of you to have this burning desire so that you can live what your heart wants, your soul wants. Because let me tell you, you want freedom. Everybody talks about financial freedom. Do you want freedom? I'll tell you what freedom is. It's living the life you want. That is freedom. Whatever you attract from that, it's all icing on the cake.
And you can't predict what you're supposed
Now
to
you guys know why I love that girl.
No, but that, that's the whole thing, is that you cannot determine how things are going to roll out. All you do is you send out the intention, you send out the wish, you not even a wish, you send out the desire. That's all. And then surrender to how it's going to roll out for you. Because if I had to look back since I was 25 and I set that goal in my life that I was going to retire early, financially free, and be able to just do everything I want in life. At 25, I had no idea there's no way I could have sat there and tried to figure out what I have experienced in the last 26 years. However, I did start one way, right? You have to start somewhere, right? So the only way I knew at that time was to build a successful career, because I was single, I was broke and in debt, because I like to party more than I could make. I couldn't cover my lifestyle, so I just went into debt. But my lifestyle was to create the environment of people that will enable and serve me in helping me achieve success, right? From no university degree in Asia, not speaking the language, no way I can work there, no working experience. And I ended up staying 11 years because I just knew that the only one thing I could focus on is the one thing I know I can work on, which is build a successful career, get a job, work my way up. That's it, right? We got to do what we got to do at the moment. I'm not thinking about, is this the right way? Should I be focusing on this? Maybe we overthink it. Do the next step and see where it leads you. That's the only thing. But I could tell you, my greatest driving force was not having, when I'm in my 40s, that scared me more than me not having today. So I looked at myself in the future.
You use fear in the right way.
Fear is the greatest motivator, by the way. Fear is not the inspiration, right? The inspiration is me giving back to my family that gave up everything to give me the life that I have at that moment, right? My driving force was to bring the gold back to my family. But my motivator was that fear of not being who I'm going to become, because I would have been very angry.
Let me throw something in right along with the lines of what you're saying. Natalie said this, and I posted on my Facebook a few days ago, and it goes right in line with what she was saying earlier. It's about fear. Listen, we weren't created from a spirit of fear. If you're going to choose to be afraid of something, be afraid of staying the way you are right now today.
Yep.
Be more afraid of that than you are afraid of not knowing how you're going to get there, or afraid of failure if you try. Yep. I promise you, where you're at right now, there's longing and discontent, and you do not have to stay there. But if you're going to use fear, use that fear to drive you.
But that's a strategy that I teach. And I have some clients here, and they'll tell you that's the strategy I teach. I reframe fear for them. They're so convinced fear looks the way it does for them right now. But the fear doesn't go away. But what we do is we reframe fear. We see fear to work with us instead of against us. So now we're using fear to work with us to achieve what it is that we want, instead of it blocking us right now. The way you see it, the way you believe fear to be right now is why it's blocking you. So if you reframe it and see it differently, oh my goodness, I swear, you're bring it on, fear, because I'm about to reframe you and send you in the right direction to give me more power and fuel.
Exactly.
You guys see that picture, my picture that's on the screen there? Can y'all see that? I don't know if everybody can see it or not. Anyway, I'm more afraid of never getting to do that again.
Yeah.
I want that picture right there. Scotty Merker said something about it the other day, and he said that picture right there just represents peace. It just represents happiness and just prosperity. And that's what I think, that's what we all want. Not necessarily that exact picture, but imagine yourself in the most amazing place ever, relaxed and comfortable and happy in your heart. And at peace, no stress, no worry, no anxieties. You've got love in your life. Imagine what that feels like. You can create that life for yourself, and it's a lot closer to you than you realize. But you just have to believe that it's possible. Please take our belief. If you don't have it, take our belief. We believe it.
I'm just thinking how hot you must be under that cowboy hat. It's really sweaty and hot down there.
No, actually, there was a nice little breeze blowing, and yes, of course, I was getting ready to leave to go to the airport, so I was dressed differently than I was normally when I was down in the Bahamas. But it's still, people know me as a lot of people call me Cowboy Kevin or whatever. I get all kinds of nicknames. Hey, Cowboy, yeehaw, whatever. Listen, that just painted a picture for people, and it paints a picture for me when I look at that. The only thing missing is Natalie, laid up there with me.
Don't worry, it's coming soon.
I know.
I wanted to share a story because one of the things that always kept me on track and going forward, no matter how difficult, and believe me, times got dark, right? Is the fact that I always look at the people that can do it. I always look at people that have achieved overcoming really difficult things. That's why I'm friends with some people with the most incredible transformational stories coming from very dark sides of life that I would never know. I grew up quite comfortable compared to a lot of my clients and friends, but I always look at, well, if Natalie can do that, why can't I? Like, if I really wanted what I wanted, why can't I? And that, I just hold that picture. It's like every time I got hard and I wanted to give up, it's like, no, she can do it. I can too. And it's not about what doing the same thing as her. It's having the grunt to push through that pain and that fear. And if she can overcome that fear, I can too. If that person can. And I remember I was working with a lady back in 2018, and she was a single mom with a very young child. And when I walked into her apartment, depression loomed in the air like it was no tomorrow. There were no pictures on the wall. She was in deep, dark depression. And I saw this little child. He was only 4 at that time. And he was sitting in the corner of the room playing by himself. And she's just not even present. She's deep in the heart of the pits of fear. And I remember I thought to myself, oh, I can't work with this client. She needs help, like professional help. But she has gone through therapy for a year, and she's just gotten deeper and deeper. She couldn't get out. And she begged me to help her. And I actually took her on for about 6 months on a program, but I didn't charge her at that time because she was so deep in debt because people were taking advantage of her. And she just kept giving and giving to the point where she couldn't get out of a financial hole. So I had to get her back on target. But once I got her back on target, and that didn't take that long because she had such a drive because she watched her son and she couldn't help him. And that scared the shit out of her because of the fact that her well-being is his life. And that's a great driving force for her to push through anything I put her through. And believe me, I put her through some stuff that you wouldn't even imagine what fear is, right? But I knew that drive. So there was one time, so she started building a business and it started going pretty well. And she goes, okay, I need to take my business to the next level. And this is like 4 months in. And well, you can't live in the armpits of Montreal. Because she lived in this area where the rent was so low, but it was the armpit of Montreal. So I would walk out of her apartment and I saw like toilet bowls on people's lawn. I mean, and I said, okay, her name was Lumi. I said, Lumi, you know that if you want abundance and opulence, you need to live in an area that people are creating that energy for you. She goes, yeah, but I can't afford more than this. I'm a single mom. I'm self-employed now and I'm in debt. And I've said, oh, well, it doesn't matter. Why don't you go look for some condos downtown, like in the spritzy condos? She's like, oh, no, gosh, no, I can't. I'm like, just go and look. Just call an agent and go and look. It took her actually a week to actually get out of her apartment to go look. That's how fearful she was on just the idea, right? And I'm like, well, I'm not going to do anything more with you until you go. So we're on a standstill now because I can't do anything. So finally she did. And she went 2 weeks. It took her to go from a 1 studio bedroom, which she could doubled on the rent that she was paying. So it's over $1,000. She's like, even that was killing her. But she's like, well, my son and I could squeeze into a little studio. I said, no, that's just greater pain now, right? Go look for something with 2 bedrooms. Now we're going up to like $1,500 a month, $1,800. Now she's about to faint, but it's okay. Now she's having fun actually looking at the apartments because now she's understanding that I'm not asking you to go rent anything, just go and see. So finally on the 3rd week, she's now into it, right? And she's always wanted to live on the condo that's attached to the Holiday Inn, right? She's always looked at that condo and say, God, wouldn't that be nice to live there? And so I said, and so she decided to ask the agent, is there any condo in that building? Now she's going all in, right? But she's not realizing yet she's going to sign anything. She's still entertaining, but she's not even thinking about signing because she's now having stupid fun with it, right? So the agent showed her 2 condos, and she walked in. She goes, "No, these are not it. I know there's something in here." She asked the agent, "Is there anything here? Because I know I'm supposed to be in this building." And she goes, "Well, there is one on the 28th floor, but it's over your budget. We're talking 2,800 now." Right? And she goes, "Do you want to see it?" And my client said, "Okay, yeah, why not? Just go." Before the elevator door even opened, she had this sense like, "Oh my God, this is it." She had the sense, even before she walked up to the door, she knew when she looked at the address, because we're into numerology as well. She looked at the numbers, that was her life number. And they opened the door, that was it. There was no turning back. She had to have that condo.
So I want to, like, when we were talking about desires, you got her burning desire to grow so much. So here's the thing. How many of you bought a car or bought a home or bought something? You made a decision about something that you wanted. You're like, I want this and I want it now. Now that's an explanation of how much that burning desire was huge in you. And then you were like, no way, I'm having this, and I don't care what it takes, I'm having this. That's a decision. Guess what happens? What you don't realize, there's actually a law around with energy. So when you make a decision that this is what you want, guess what? Everything realigns around you. You start connecting to the way. And we know this is truth because there's enough proven science around this that when you make a decision, like Susan just said, this person doesn't even know how she's going to afford this. Did she move in, Susan? Did she figure out a way?
She didn't figure out a way. This is what happens because then we hit our terror barrier.
Terror barrier first, right? Yes.
So even my husband was like, "Susan, you're nuts," because he's a lawyer and he's an investments professional. So he's like, "There's no way." She has poor credit, right? She doesn't have a viable job.
This is going to be really good.
Yeah, exactly. My husband's like, "There's no way." He knows the system. I'm like, "Oh, screw the system," right? She has a burning desire and she's aligned with it. So anyway, so the next day she puts in the application now. And I'm like, I had to bully her into putting the application in because she hit terror barrier.
Exactly.
She put in the application, but she calls me on her email as she's about to submit it and she can't press send. Right? She can't press send. She's scared now. I'm like, because what happened was she called her friend that is a non-believer of anything. And she said, "I'm about to send this," and, talking about it. And this friend's like, "You're crazy. You're never going to get it. You don't have a credit." And they're going to do a credit check. I'm like, oh my gosh, she told her she's going to do a credit check. I didn't even tell her that because I didn't care. Right. So anyway, so she calls me now panicking that this person said it's never going to happen. I said, "Send it." She even put my name there as as an employer because she was working for me like contract wise as a referral as part of my sales team. And I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Well, how much should I put in there?" "I don't know. Put whatever you want." I like 111,000. That's what I'm going to put on there. She put so much information on that application. It was ridiculous, right? And she couldn't press send. It took me 15 minutes to scream at her on the phone, press send and send it. So finally she sent it. She went to bed. Next morning, 7:30 in the morning, she got an approval. They did not do a credit check because I know they would have called me. They didn't. She got approved. She lived in there for 2 years without even having any money coming in. A week after she got that condo approved, she got a job at Desjardins, the bank, and she was making $80,000 a year.
So she could afford it.
Yes.
Yeah.
She lived in there for 2 years. I think everybody in Montreal believes this work now, watching what she has. They couldn't believe that she held that condo for 2 years.
All right, listen to me. I want you guys to hear this, how important this is. We were just talking about this earlier in this Zoom today. What did this girl do? This girl surrounded herself with someone that believed in her, that encouraged her, that would not let her give up on herself, would not let her quit. Had she surrounded herself with that other person and only listened to that, that she never would have taken that next step. So who are you surrounding yourself with? Are you surrounding yourself with people that don't believe, that don't believe? There's no way, you can't do that. You're crazy. You're going to do a credit check. Are you out of your mind? It's going to be embarrassing, blah, 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 blah. Are you surrounding yourself with people like that? Are you surrounding yourself with people like Susan Hum that says, for 15 minutes, listen to me. Don't you want more? Don't you want more? Don't you want a better life? Listen to
Well,
me.
Natalie would do that.
It.
She'd be screaming at you too.
I'm just using you because it was your story. Natalie does the same thing. I do the same thing.
Yeah.
We know the power of the mind. We know the power of positive energy. If you're in a negative frequency, a negative vibration, if you're around people that are negative and they speak fear and doubt and worry, then you are going to attract the very results in your life that reflect that. So what life do you want? Listen, this isn't about going out and telling your buddy, sorry, can't hang out with you no more. You don't believe. You don't have to do that. I've got people in my life that are not in my life anymore. I never had to say a word to them. They distanced themselves. They got uncomfortable. They didn't ever have to say Kevin's stuck up or too good for me. I haven't heard that in years. I used to hear that. I don't hear that anymore, because what will happen is you'll start to naturally attract the very people into your life, and you will start to, and I don't mean to use this word negatively, but repel. There's a negative connotation to repel, and I don't mean that. I just mean they're not going to be drawn to you. They're going to be drawn to the energy that they're used to. When they see you shifting, there's going to be something that they can't explain. And now all of a sudden they're hanging out with Steve-O over here instead of hanging out with you. And then they're worried, man, I hope Kevin doesn't get mad at me if I don't go to Steve. But you know what? Now that positive stuff, I just don't get it. I just don't want to hear it. And, you know, then they feel bad instead of you feel bad. So yeah, who are you surrounding yourself with? Who believes in you? Surround yourself with people that believe in you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It really is that. I was just typing the answer for Karen is making sure that you have accountability to work through anything uncomfortable. So if there's anything you know you need to take action on and it's uncomfortable, but you know is needed, create accountability. So what I do is I always have an accountability partner that's holding me accountable every day until I get that achieved, you know, and knowing I have somebody there that's going to check in on me. It's like, make sure that you have that accountability. We don't achieve goals, no matter how big or how small, without somebody keeping us in check and looking after our desire rather than our fear. You know, that's really important. You know, goals are it's only about a 40% chance of achieving goals by yourself. If you write it down, it goes up to about 50%, but, you know, or 60%. And then with accountability to achieving goals, it bumps it up to about 95%, right? So if you do all that, you're much closer to achieving your goals. But by yourself, really hard.
So the thing that I want to say is, do you think you're ready to burn the bridges? Do you think you're really ready? Are you really ready to basically say, I'm done with parts of who you are is truth to who you are, but I'm talking about the parts of who you are that you think is who you are that is blocking you from becoming more. Those parts of you are ready to burn those bridges, because every time I ask the question, people are like, yes, absolutely. But the problem is that most people are playing the blame game. Unconsciously, not consciously. Man, I remember when I started this, and I think you both are the same, right, Susan and Kevin? We started this information and we did not believe we were victims. We never acted like a victim. We worked really hard. We never believed or saw ourselves as victims. Absolutely not. But then when we started working with this information, we all realized that we were playing the blame game in some area of our life. Like we were.
Oh, bro, you aren't kidding. I played that blame game a lot.
It was a hard thing that was hit in the face, where it's like, oh crap, I am talking these stories about poor me. Like, you don't understand. Like, I'm a very, very busy corporate woman, and I'm always traveling, and I have kids, and I've had babies. That's why my body is looking like this. And like, I was playing stories that held me where I am. Think about it. If I keep saying I don't have time, you don't understand, and I'm keep playing that story in my mind of why I can't become who I want to become, And it could be, we do this with money. You don't understand. I have to do this job. There is no money coming in. There's no way for me to do more. Notice the energy that people place in where they are, and they're blaming where they are. They're blaming people. They're blaming kids. They're blaming family. They're blaming spouses. They're blaming their boss. They're blaming. So I realized, holy shit, I'm blaming unconsciously. And that's what the society has been conditioned. I was conditioned. But guess what? Blame takes away our power, because if you are blaming, that behavior tells the universe, tells me, tells everybody that you deeply believe and think things are happening to you. And if you think things are happening to you, well, why would you ever connect to a solution? You can't. Your mind is convinced that you don't have a solution because you can't control the outside world. That's the truth. So you can't control the outside world that's doing these things to you. But if you learn the science like we did, there is a precise art and science to getting everything you want in life. If you learn the science, you start to see the things you cannot see. And then you start seeing that everything that is happening in your life right now, you caused it. And it pisses you off at the beginning, just like it pissed us off at the beginning, because we don't want to believe that it caused it. But when you see that and understand that science, it's like a click that happens in your head, and all of a sudden you become powerful, because you're like, holy shit, I had all this power to cause the problem. That means I have all this power to create whatever I want now. Like there's a click that happens inside of you. And again, I'm sharing this and you're like, oh, that makes sense. But that's just knowledge. That's not embodying. That's not application. There's a difference. You could watch videos and read books all you want. We in our society is very educated. We call top heavy, right? It's the experience, it's the embodiment, it's the understanding, it's the application, it's the, oh my God, Susan, there's no way, they're all telling me it's not possible. And now I'm starting to believe them. And Susan's like, oh no, I'm not letting you go there with your mind. You're not going to blame them. You're not going to blame circumstances. You're not going to blame even your past decisions of a bad credit bureau. You're not going to blame any of that. You're going to make this happen for you. And let me show you how. We're going to stay connected to where you're going and away from where you don't want to be. But the question is, are you ready to let go of certain aspects of the person that you are right now? Are you willing to let go of certain pieces? Because I'll tell you one thing. I was ready to burn those bridges with the person I was before, because it was not serving me. It was destroying a lot of parts of my life. And I knew there was a pull inside of me that wanted more.
This is where anger is really important.
Oh, because I was getting angry.
We numb ourselves from being fed up with ourselves, but it's actually our truth coming out and trying to wake us up and doing something about it. But we've learned how to numb every feeling that is our truth. So if you're angry with yourself, take that as the truth. So then your next question is, so what am I going to do about it? What am I going to do about it? So the question is actually, are you fed up with yourself yet? Or do you have a little bit longer to go? Because I'm not here to tell you.
That is just it, Susan. Mm-hmm. That determines whether you're about to change your life or not.
Yeah. It's how angry. You're not that angry yet? Well, I don't know how to work with somebody that's not fed up yet.
Yeah.
Because then I'm kind of dragging you along, and that's painful for everybody, right?
Sure.
But I really want to leave everybody with this exercise from today. And I'm sure you guys want to share your exercises too, but there's one exercise I force people into to start changing in little small steps is in your dialogue every day, in your dialogue and in your dialogue with others, take away the I can't and say, I don't want to. That's it. Remove I can't and say, I don't want to. I choose not to. Because if you tell somebody or a coach or anybody that when you say, I don't want to, there's no comeback, right? There's no comeback. It's more empowering to say, I don't choose to. Then we can have a dialogue. And I would say, why not? Let's talk. Whereas if you say, I can't, we will battle you because we are the universe. The universe will battle you when you say you can't. It will show you ways to force you out of that victim mode, right? But if you say, I don't want to, it's like, oh, okay, well, then look for a solution. Let's talk about what you want. Isn't that a nicer conversation? It's actually because you probably want it. You're just now saying it. So it's always finding what your truth is, but remove the I can't, because that is the biggest victim thing I've ever heard.
And the other thing is I don't have enough time. Here's the thing. It's not a time issue people have.
No.
It's a decision issue. The people that don't have time, when we really discover their blocks, we realize that they have so much unfinished business around decisions. I'll think about it. They've got so many decisions that are still up there that they're pondering about. I got to get to this. I got to do that. I haven't said yes to this, and I haven't said no. You're not saying no either. So you've got a lot of these decisions that are pending inside of your mind. And my God, think about it. It's an emotional problem, not a physical problem. It's an emotional problem. And you look at how efficient people are, the people that are very, very efficient. Yes, no, yes, no. And you know how you decide yes, no? What do you want? And everything that aligns with what you want, yes. Everything that doesn't align with what you want, no. And be good with it. Be okay with it. That's the other thing with us women. It's like, I feel bad for saying no to them. I kind of like them, but at the same time, it doesn't align with where they're going, right? So that too, it's time issues it's not a physical thing. And people do time management programs. Trust me, I've trained a lot of employees around time management when I was in the corporate world, never changed anything. When I got into the mindset work, now that changed everything, because it's an emotional issue. It's not a physical issue, is that people are bogged down with not understanding how to have order with their thoughts, order with what it, and you could tell, because if you don't have order here, there's chaos outside of you. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, guys, we have been on for an hour, and
Yes.
we are so
Awesome.
grateful to be here with you guys today. Let me turn my camera back on. So I'm still out in Vegas. We've got another meeting coming up, and I'm going to have to slip out. Otherwise, we probably go for a few more minutes. But we are so grateful that you took this hour to spend with us today. And if there's anything that we can help you guys with, don't hesitate. Natalie's got a link to schedule some time to visit, and we have answers. If you can tell us what you want, we can show you how to get it. I'll just leave it at that with you guys, and I look forward to seeing you all again tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Take care, everyone.
Bye.